All right, welcome back to ACT English NRI Phrases and Dependent Clauses, Part 2. For slide 11, remember when clauses or phrases start sentences, you usually pause after them when you're speaking. In writing, indicate this pause with a comma. So, running at top speed, Jean chased down the school bus. That pause, you put a comma in. That was a gerund phrase, which we haven't studied yet. But during the night, prepositional phrase, Lindsay dreamed she saw a UFO. That pause is a comma in writing. And a subordinate clause, because he enjoys music, Sean bought tickets to the orchestra, comma for the pause. When those are at the end of the sentence, though, you usually don't. Jennifer hid her lucky marbles in the bushes. No pause in speaking, no comma in writing. Slide 13. Another reminder that appositives that are not necessary in order to understand the sentence are wrapped in commas, but appositives that are necessary in order to understand the sentence are not. We've already covered that a couple times, so I won't give the examples again. Slide 14. Yet another reminder about positives and commas. Slide 15. All sentences must contain a subject, a verb, and form a complete thought. A group of words that contains the subject and verb but do not contain a complete thought is a sentence fragment. It is a dependent clause that cannot stand alone, not an independent clause that can stand alone. So the first of these, Dave brushes his teeth in the shower, that stands alone. The second one, which many people think is strange, it doesn't. And the reason it doesn't is because it begins with a relative pronoun, making it a relative clause. So you need to combine them with a comma. All right. Slide 16. Interruptions. Anything you do that interrupts the flow of the sentence, gives you extra information, set it off with commas, if you would pause around them. So, Sue warned us that the roses had thorns. You don't pause there, so no commas. But you add the interruption. Sue warned us that the roses, while pretty, had thorns. You pause before and after, so put commas before and after. No pause, no commas. I heard that the roller coaster was scary and had a really long line. No pause, no commas. Interjections, same thing. Oh, wait. There we go. Interjections, same thing. You pause before and after, so put commas. I went to Mikey's dinner party and, wow, he's a great cook. You pause before and after, so you put commas. One at the beginning. Oh, my goodness. Rebecca finally finished building her rocket ship. You put a comma between the interjection and the rest of the text. Slide 19. A reminder about sentences needing to contain a complete thought. We just covered that. Slide 20. Now this one's tricky. It's about restrictive versus non-restrictive clauses. Specifically, clauses that begin with the word that versus clauses that begin with the word which. Okay. At base, let's get it as simple as we can. Clauses that begin with the word that let you know that the clause is describing part of the thing it is describing, not all of it. And these clauses are not set off with commas. So you see, the jewels that cost a lot of money were stolen from the safe. Not all the jewels. The jewels that cost a lot of money. So you use that. Only some of the jewels cost a lot of money. Some were cheap, maybe. My cat that has green eyes purrs when I rub its belly. I have other cats, but the one that has green eyes purrs when I rub its belly. So that does not get commas because it lets you know that it's just part and not whole. But clauses that begin with which provide just some extra information about the thing that clause is describing, but it's not information that's necessary in order to understand the sentence. These clauses, they're called non-restrictive, and they are set off with commas. So the jewels, which cost a lot of money, were stolen from the safe. Now, in this case, all the jewels cost a lot of money. So that's just extra information. You don't need to differentiate between the good jewels and the bad jewels. They're all good jewels, but you're putting in that little extra bit. It's extra information. It's not essential. Surrounded with commas. All right, slide 21. Again, that is restrictive, no commas, which is non-restrictive, commas. Just saying it again. Slide 22. This is a throwback to some of the things we already learned, actually. You cannot join two independent clauses with just a comma. That's called a comma splice. Or by just smushing them together. That's called a run-on or a fused sentence. You can address this situation several ways. Number one, you can put a period, capitalize the first word of the next sentence, just make them into two sentences. Or two, you can put a semicolon in between them. We learned that already. With the semicolon, you don't need a swabby. Or a fanboys. Or three, you can use a comma instead of a semicolon, but then you have to have a fanboys. And but or for so yet. You can also put a swabby at the beginning, because it's a swabby. You can put a swabby at the beginning of the first sentence, and then put a comma between them. You have to have the comma if the first clause has the swabby. Or you can put the swabby before the second clause, and in that case, you don't have to have the comma. I don't know why. Well, yes, I do, because when you speak, you don't pause when it's in the second one, but you do when it's the first one. Why that is, I don't know. Then finally, the two thamo options. You can put a thamo between the two sentences. They have a period before and a comma after. You can always also use a semicolon before and a comma after. Or you can just put a period at the end of the first sentence, then put the thamo in the middle of the second sentence, surrounded by commas. And that's it. So good luck on the practices. Good luck on the growth quiz.